Hey guys, hope you're well. Wanted to do a quick video about the Confident Chris controversy. First, I want to say sorry I haven't posted in quite a long time. I think it's been about 2 weeks. Mom is sick again, doing all right, but I had to shuttle her back and forth again through various hospitals and various doctor's appointments. And then I also figured out with my page specifically, I'm all about quality over quantity. So if there's some stuff where I don't know a ton about, I won't necessarily speak about it and kind of wait a little bit. We are heading to South Carolina and then, of course, Los Angeles to follow through with the lawsuit. But wanted to talk today about Confident Chris and that controversy where he was beat up by a homeless man who was clearly hired by Scientology to instigate danger and to warn off other people, other really kind of fighters and warriors fighting against Scientology and trying to actually expose them, doing their best to discourage anybody because this movement is growing and it's metastasizing. So I figured I'd add my own 2 cents. There's not a lot of unique input that I could personally add, except for the fact that I've had an unusually extensive amount of experience with homeless people. So I did want to analyze, is this kind of normal behavior at least? And is it actually that obvious that Scientology paid this gentleman, far from a gentleman, paid this dude to rough up Confident Chris? And I've traveled just for fun to about 48 states in the USA, and I've had a driver's license. I'm from New York City, so never had one for a while, but I've had my driver's license for about 4 years. Before then, I would take Greyhound buses and Amtrak, and I probably have visited about 35 states before I had a car, and then added a bunch of new ones when I had a car. But I would usually stay downtown, have to walk everywhere, have to leave the Greyhound bus station. So to say that I've had at least 400 interactions with homeless people would probably be a correct statement. So I certainly have experience, and so let's just talk about what exactly happened. So Confident Chris was walking around. This is about a block and change outside of the Scientology Center on Hollywood Boulevard. A homeless man asks Chris if he has $2. Chris says no. Do you have $1? Chris says no. Well, what about your phone? Chris says no. And the whole time, Chris is incredibly polite the whole time, which is why in this specific scenario, a homeless person wouldn't just randomly attack somebody, especially if they were being that polite. I started out pretty naive interacting with the homeless, and most homeless people are very kind and pleasant to interact with, but you still have to leave your naivete at the door. And so when you don't, they get more and more aggressive. But if you're polite to them, they won't hurt you. The only time they'll really hurt you, I've heard experiences of this happening, is if a homeless person says, hey, do you have $2? And the person, instead of walking away and not even corresponding, or instead of giving the person $2, or instead of saying, sorry, I don't have anything, they'd say, how dare you ask, what the hell are you doing? And if they exhibit that first bout of hostility, then the homeless person might get violent or whatever. But even if the person is psychotic, and I've interacted with plenty of homeless people who have been on drugs, who have clearly been psychotic, they're not going to hurt you, especially if you're polite to them. And I can tell Chris is a polite gentleman, especially if you're polite to them in the beginning. So it's very bizarre when Chris says he doesn't have a phone, then all of a sudden the homeless man assaults him. It is a very inorganic interaction because it escalated from 0 to 60 from less than 60 seconds. From 0 to, really, it escalated from 0 to 10 seconds. So the expression doesn't even apply. And that's just completely unnatural and inorganic unless somebody had direct orders and they were getting paid by somebody to say, start this assault with this specific person. Again, it doesn't happen. And here's the reality of if this guy was actually homeless, what would have actually happened. Chris was very polite. And if a homeless person notices that you're treating them politely and respectfully, then they'll think, okay, this is somebody I could actually get cash out of. This is somebody who, if I manipulate enough, who I nag enough, who I follow around in a polite enough way, not necessarily beating the person up, if I follow this person around, this person will give me cash. And the reflexive answer each and every time when I say I don't have $1 or I don't have $2 is, oh, let's go to an ATM. There's an ATM right here. That's it. That would have been the simplest solution, because if homeless people see a target and they see you interacting politely, and again, most homeless people are not manipulative or perfectly kind people. They've gotten a bad reputational rap. But for the few that are really ill-intentioned or really psychotic, if they see you in their crosshairs, they're not going to want to fight you. They're going to want to be as polite to you as possible and manipulative to you as possible so you could go to the ATM, especially in Hollywood Boulevard. It's not like you're in the middle of this rural road or anything. There's going to be a million ATMs. So that's and some who have the tech stuff, who have the phone, say, well, maybe, and I've gotten this too, maybe you can PayPal me $10 or something like that. So for that to be an automatic fight, this homeless person still had his opportunity to get money. And that opportunity is such an obvious, that the next subsequent step that you take is so obvious to continue. If you want to get that cash, that would be the way to do it. And when I was younger and more naive, and I used to kind of continue the conversations, be so polite, I wouldn't want to leave the conversation in a rude way, then that's always what happened. Then I would go to the ATM and I'd withdraw them $20. And then I get a little annoyed. Say, hey, you have your $20, leave me the hell alone. But again, 400, or interacts with over 400 homeless people. Completely. So I think I know a thing or two about human psychology. A completely bizarre and inorganic and inauthentic reaction. It's just, that's not how human beings behave. If you haven't had any experience with people less fortunate on the street, that's not what happens. You might punch somebody reflexively without talking if you knew them from before and you felt they wronged you or whatever. But that just doesn't happen where you're going to punch a random stranger like that. There has to be at least some sort of 10-second buffer where Chris would have to say something rude or something, or threaten to call the police. So this is just another example of Scientology's efforts to silence their critics. They have connections with a specific police force. Everybody knows that. A lot of them take direct marching orders. There's a reason that there haven't been arrests in the leadership in Los Angeles of Scientology, so there probably should be. This is because the Scientology has a lot of the police in their pocket, so they are their allies. Of course, one of the reasons I wanted to do this video is to get even more attention for that and shine a light on this corruption, so there could be so much pressure where some actual tangible investigation is going on. And I'm going to go out to LA too, and know some people who did some work with LA law enforcement, so I'll have those conversations down the pipeline as well for you. But it's so obvious that this momentum is building so quickly. Obviously, the Celebrity Center, the center in Scientology on Hollywood Boulevard, has effectively shut down, where they're no longer going outside to try to recruit people. So obviously they want that back, and the way to do that is to indicate to people that you will be hurt. Either you'll be arrested with Aaron Smith-Levin, or you'll be hurt. Or in my case, you'll lose your job. I've mentioned this story close to 1 million times. I'm going to have a more detailed rundown probably tomorrow. But I used to be a local news anchor in Yuma, Arizona, and I spoke the truth about Scientology because when Lisa Marie Presley died, she was preparing to testify against the Church of Scientology, even though Lisa Marie was a member of the Church of Scientology for over 4 decades, because one of the victims of Danny Masterson called Lisa Marie. They were pretty much best friends at the time of this happened in the early 2000s, and Lisa Marie got marching orders from Scientology to convince her friend, this Danny Masterson victim, to stand down and not go to the police. Lisa Marie Presley had a ton of guilt over that for quite some time, and even though Lisa Marie knew that she would get fair game, that her life would be inconvenienced, that her career might take a hit because of that, she was willing to testify that Scientology called her to tell her friend to stand down and not go to the police. I thought that was an important part of her legacy. The mainstream news was not covering that. They talked about her wonderful career, her wonderful music, the way that she gave back, and the light that she was, but they did not talk about this, what I thought was essentially a heroic stand, trying to bring truth to justice, despite the consequences that it would bring her specifically. So I was a victim of that. This is what they call fair gaming. Can't add a bunch more expertise other than that, but want to create awareness, and I'm going to get a link for you. It's also posted on the text of the YouTube, but if you want to help out Chris, I got the link right here. Not asking for money for me this time around, although I'll prostitute myself digitally later on, so get ready for that. But right now, let's focus on Chris. If you want to support Chris, it is linktr.ee/confidentchris912. linktree.ee/confidentchris912. Again, linktr.ee/confidentchris912. So if you want to support Chris in his quest to recover, because from what I was watching with Aaron, there's a lot of recovery down the road. And of course, you couldn't see the attack. So I don't know Chris at all. I've never met Chris. I've been watching his live stream. I don't think Chris knows who I am. Aaron Mislevin certainly does. I don't think Chris does. Not that that matters, but we're all in the same community of trying to speak truth to power with Scientology and trying to expose them, because remember what this is all about. There's still children being labor trafficked. There are still people who are not getting a living wage, who are starving. There are still people who are being abused. There are still people who can't see their family. So we all have to kind of mutually, even if we don't know each other, we all kind of have to mutually support each other and kind of ping our audience. My audience is small. It's only 5,000 subscribers, but even with the 5,000, if I get a couple people to donate to Chris, that should be helpful. So we're all kind of in this fight together, even if we don't necessarily know each other. Other than that, you'll see a lot more videos from me. Sorry, I took some time off. Again, Mom has this weird situation where she hasn't been officially diagnosed, and we're worried she has a stroke because she has consistently low blood sugar. Then she got the correct medication, which was nice, and she went off to Rome, which is and really enjoyed that. But then it got worse again. The medication didn't work, so she flew back to the U.S. Wants to see a bunch more doctors. I don't think anything is fatal or too horrific, but she needed me in case she had a stroke or something, or her blood sugar was that bad she couldn't drive. She needed me to shuttle her back and forth. So I got home from New Hampshire and kind of focused on that. But again, you'll see pretty consistent postings from me. There might be a week or two where I don't post, because again, I'm all about quality over quantity. And I want to feel like I have some sort of experiential knowledge to talk about a video or to talk about the topic I want to post. This one I did because I had extensive experience with the homeless community, so it kind of made sense. But all about quality over quantity. In terms of the political stuff, I'm glad you guys are all enjoying it. I'm not going to comment on every little thing, like if something happens in Israel, Gaza, and it's the same thing because I don't have an expertise. There's so many people who don't have any expertise on a topic and talk about it. And if I think you don't know a lot about the topic, I don't want to hear your thoughts. I like Joe Rogan, but that's one of the things that irks me about Joe Rogan is, he'll talk about Gaza with some two-bit comedian, and none of them know anything about Gaza. So why the hell would I want to listen to them? And why would anybody want to listen to me? I've never been to Gaza. If I don't have this deep, I will talk a lot about politics and primary campaigns because I ran for office myself twice, because I've worked on 10 separate primary campaigns, local, presidential, municipal, statewide, you name it. And I was sort of a hired hand. And I still do that work. I think I'll do some of that work later on, where you're kind of a mercenary and get people on the ballot. At some point, I'll tell this story. In 2020, I got petition signatures for Kanye West, which was a very interesting experience. And he was just kind of pooping out money. I remember we got paid a wild $40 a day. That was great. And we didn't even get him on the ballot. He paid all that money, and it was just out in West Virginia. So I have extensive experience in politics, which is why I feel like I could talk about the machinations of the race. And of course, we were going to South Carolina to watch Nikki Haley make her last gasp. And then beyond that, we're going to go to Texas to look at the border issues in Mexico, and then we'll be in Los Angeles right in time. I heard all you guys talking. Please come to LA to cover the Leah Remini Scientology lawsuit. So I will be doing that. I have to confirm some of the dates in terms of how that's happening. Oh, by the way, if you're watching this, somebody was nice enough to offer a couch in Pasadena because I'm running bare bones. If that person's watching again, let me know. I'm going to dig through the comments and connect with you. I'd love to take advantage of that offer and crash in here. I do have a dog as well, so maybe that's too much of a headache, but it gets expensive staying out there. So if you're watching, you're the person who has that couch in Pasadena. I'd love to crash on it. That'd be very nice. If anybody else, but no biggie. But yeah, so we'll be out in LA. That'll be the kind of the focus, because the Scientology stuff is really, the political stuff has gotten views, and it's a passion of mine. So I don't want it, I never wanted to let it up, and I felt like, or let it pass me by, and I felt like I had a unique experience to produce some quality content, and of which I will continue to do so. But the bread and butter and the views, of course, are with Scientology, and that's something else I feel passionately about. So we will be out there in LA. Thank you guys all for your support. Sorry it was so long since I posted, but today I am going to start the road for South Carolina. I'll probably be in South Carolina about 9 days, so we'll do about 6 days in South Carolina. In New Hampshire, we did about 2 weeks, but there were a lot more candidates running. Now it's just Trump versus Nikki Haley. That there was a primary in South Carolina for the Democrats, and I really found some passion covering the Democrats. Sadly, Biden got 96% of the vote. My buddy Marianne and my other buddy Dean Phillips did not do well at all. Marianne, to her credit, did beat Dean Phillips for second place. So credit to Marianne, where Dean Phillips probably spent about $1 million on events and advertising in South Carolina. Marianne Williamson not only did not visit, but spent zero. So actually impressive for Marianne, despite the fact that she got 1,000 or 2,000 votes. It's funny, I ran for a local office called State Committee, and I got about 2,000 votes. So, hey, same amount of people voted for me than voted for Marianne in the entire state of South Carolina. But, hey, I still want to promote her. Oh, I asked her a question about Scientology, which I'll post. So I have gotten the question about Scientology in the political electoral lexicon in the conversation. I asked her, would you appoint an IRS chief who would revoke the tax-exempt status of Scientology? And she said yes. So we have that now in the presidential election officially, which is very cool. In South Carolina, I will tell you my mission. Doubt I could do it, but I will try. I'm going to try to ask Nikki Haley and Donald Trump what they feel about appointing an IRS chair who wants to revoke the tax-exempt status of Scientology. I think Nikki Haley's going to be tough to do, but here's the thing about Trump. His events are easier to get into than you think. And Trump, if somebody screams something, Trump usually will respond. If you're close enough to him, and I've been plenty close because I know how to get there early and everything. If you're close enough to Trump, he might actually respond. Last time he responded to me when I said Ada Hutchinson, he said, Ada, that's right, we call him Ada. So he will. So I might just show, hey, Trump, would you... This would be difficult, but I could try to do it very quickly. Hey, Trump, would you... Sorry, all right, I'll try to see how quickly I can do it. Trump, would you appoint an IRS chair who would revoke the tax-exempt status of Scientology? And just scream it out just like that. And Nikki has sometimes responded to people screaming as well. So I'm going to ask Nikki Haley about that as well. As for the party, we're going to probably do Nikki Haley's party because it'll be fun to watch somebody die in real time. And we did Trump last time. Though I have a lot of Trump fans and on here and a lot of people who despise Trump who watch my YouTube. And that's another thing I'm excited about in the future. I think I'm one of the very few YouTubes who has an equal part audience, equal part Trump supporters, equal part anti-Trump people. So I think political diversity and diversity in your audience is a good thing. And I think we should stop hating people just because they have a different political point of view. So a lot of fun stuff in the pipeline. Thanks to your patience. But yes, again, go and support Chris. The link will be in the text. But again, it is linktr.ee/confident Chris 912 if you want to support him in his medical bills. But that's why I wanted to do this video, because I want to support him too. And thank you guys for all being fellow fighters and for watching. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.